Hey, welcome to the Dropship Podcast. Good niche, bad niche. Today we're going to talk about road construction. It comes from our friend Bill Bergman. And before we even start the show, I want to shout out Bill. Bill posted this. So we have a Slack channel, a private Slack channel, paid Slack channel for our members. If you want to be a part of that, you need to be a member of our course. We're running a sale right now, dropshipbreakthru.com/300. We'd love to have you in there. And Bill wrote in this show-off channel something I want to shout him out for. We love Bill around here, and so hopefully this shows Bill some love. He said, things I did not do today. Drive a long, stressful commute in bumper-to-bumper traffic to a job I loathe. Have to answer to a meddling middle manager named Bob who hassles me about my TPS reports. Medicate myself with multiple $10 sugary-laden lattes from Starbucks just to barely tolerate my miserable workday. Sit in a claustrophobic cubicle next to people I would never befriend in any other arena in life while slowly losing my eyesight to the blinking fluorescent light above my head and glowing monitor in front of me full of endless spreadsheets I have to fiddle with all day. Things I did do today. Took a beautiful, leisurely drive through the high desert of Arizona up to lovely pine-covered Flagstaff where the temperature was a perfect 72 degrees and there's still snow on the San Francisco peaks. Hung out at one of my favorite coffee shops anywhere, Fire Creek on Old Route 66. You must go if you're in town. He attended an expo where he hung out with some current suppliers and connected with new ones to help grow his business even more. He's now staying at the historic and quaint Monte Vista Hotel on San Francisco Street in the heart of downtown Flagstaff, and I made $33,000 in sales while only doing 2 hours of work this morning. I absolutely love what we do. It's challenging at times, but 100% worth it. If you're not there yet, just keep going. You can do it too. So the show-off channel is probably my favorite part of Slack, but messages like this get me fired up. I stopped. I shared it with my wife. I love Bill. I'm super excited to see him in Salt Lake City. I believe he's coming to VIP Day, which I'm really excited about as well at our live event. And just shout out Bill. Bill's one of the students who's just putting in the hours and doing good work. And his conversion rate's insane, by the way. We should have him talk about how his conversion rate is one of the highest I've ever seen in high ticket dropshipping.
Yeah, and he's not in what you would think of as an easy niche either. Like I've done a lot of coaching with Bill,
sure.
one-to-one, and I've seen inside his business, and he messaged us where we're getting to here, very recently, and he said his business is still growing pretty fast. And last time I looked in his business, which was a few months ago, I think, he was doing good. So if it's still growing pretty fast, I'm looking forward to hearing more about where he's up to right now, because he's in a niche that I've seen a lot of other people fail, and I am doing the quotation marks there when I say the word fail. Because he's proving that the niche he's in totally works for somebody who's willing to do the work. He does the work, man. That guy works, right? Like,
his industry works. His industry works, but he brought up one that may or may not work. I don't know. John and I researched a little before the call. I'm excited to see where this one goes. He said, "Hey, John, why don't you talk about road construction?" Did he mention a few products to you at all when he sent that over?
Yeah, well, Bill was as you said, he was driving across Arizona. He said he went through a stretch of heavy construction where he could not help but notice there were many hundreds and perhaps thousands of barriers along the road. So think about those temporary barriers that road construction crews put up. Oftentimes they're filled with water. They might be made from concrete. They might be made from plastic, as I say, filled with water and that sort of thing. They must have come from somewhere, and they can't be cheap. So I did a little searching online to satisfy my curiosity, and that's all I did, blah, blah, blah. So he wanted us to talk about things like, road construction, barriers, speed bumps, ramps, traffic signs were some of his ideas. And I think on our last episode, we talked about what to do if you're stuck at niche selection. And I think this is a good example of what happens once you've given it a go and you've gone through and started a business and you get into the mindset of niche selection and you see it work, as you start to see ideas everywhere, right? You look at everything a little bit differently and you're like, I think I could sell that. Or, I wonder if I could sell that. Or can I sell that? And sometimes ideas just pop up.
That literally happened at lunch today. We went to
really?
Ben Fry and I went to a salad place. It's called Crisp and Green. It just opened here. And we're standing in line waiting. And in the back, there's workers like freshly cutting lettuce. And it's this giant commercial machine that is just shredding lettuce. And I was like, what? Who would have even thought there was a commercial lettuce shredding machine, let alone like what? Imagine the rabbit holes you go down just Googling. So I find myself walking by something, Googling it. I know it happened in Seattle last year. We were going up the Space Needle or whatever it's called in Seattle, and it was hot as hot could be. And they had like this huge fan with water just like blowing on you. And I Googled it. It was like $5,000. And I was like, it's everywhere. There's everywhere. And so good on you, Bill, for like just going on a road trip and you just start seeing stuff. You might start with e-bikes and sofas or whatever else is on every guru's list, but eventually your eyes just start opening to everything. There's so much opportunity in this world. It's wild.
Yeah, and I think that mindset shifts comes from selling something. Like once you realize you can actually sell something to a complete stranger who you don't know, who's never seen you before, who just comes to your website, like the ability to then think, when you do that, which is why I think it's, if you're looking to get started, your most important role, the one thing you have to achieve as soon as possible is just to sell something. Like just sell one thing, right? Because your mindset changes completely. You start to think about, well, if I can sell that, I can sell anything. And then you start to see all these things that you've been looking at your whole life while you were going through niche selection, thinking, oh my God, I can't think of a single thing to sell. And it's kind of like you see the Matrix or whatever. And now you're like, yeah, okay, I could. What about that? What about that? What about all these boring things that are around me all the time? I reckon I could maybe I could sell those, right? It's a really cool, I think, shift that happens. Obviously, Bill's been doing it for long enough that he's gone through that. So anyway, road construction products, barricades, speed bumps. I started looking at some of these before we started recording here, and I think the first thought that you and I were saying to each other when we started looking at some sites and looking at Google to see what was out there, because this is not a niche that I've looked at before. And in the last episode, I said I don't get unique ideas very often. Well, here's a unique idea. I've never had anybody come to me for niche selection verification and say road construction products. So if you're looking for an idea that not many people are doing, here's one. I think the first thing we kind of felt was, well, there's a lot of low ticket products here.
How did you start? Let's start with that. How did you start?
Yeah.
Right. So somebody listening to this who's never done it, I simply went to Google and typed in road construction products. Went to the shopping tab. That gave me some ideas. Bill mentioned barriers, so I typed in road construction barriers. That started the rabbit hole for me. Where did you start?
I also did. I also did go to Google, because that's just kind of like my default, because that's how I've been doing it for years and years. I just go to Google, I search for a product type. So Bill had helpfully provided some product types. So I think I went and looked for road barricades first, because that was one of the product types. I would go and do speed bumps. He suggested ramps and traffic signs. So I would just put those product types into Google, see what ads come up, see what websites come up. And then I just start going into websites and I start looking at, well, what product types are here? What are the price points? Because when you search a product type, you're generally going to get e-commerce businesses that sell something when you search for a product type. That these days, at least in Google search results, that's generally what you're going to get. So you can get straight into it, start looking at sites and just filtering through and thinking about it. Like, I also just sat here and went to ChatGPT as well and asked ChatGPT, what products would a road construction business purchase? This is maybe the new way of doing it, if you like. And ChatGPT has spit me out a list of things that a road construction business would purchase: materials, safety equipment, and it gives me a list of these. Construction machinery, obviously, that's maybe on the large side. Tools and supplies, and then they've given me a list of tools and supplies. Transportation equipment, surveying equipment, office supplies, right? They don't just need supplies for on the road. Often a road construction business has portable offices that they take around with them. Those portable offices have stuff in them. Maintenance and repair supplies and tools. Communication equipment. Like, there's actually a lot of stuff here. And so what I could do with ChatGPT is I could go deeper on that and pull out one of those areas and say, give me a list of tools and a complete list of tools and supplies that a road construction business would purchase, right? And it's going to spit me out a deeper list in that section. Or I could go to office supplies, or I could go to maintenance tools. Like you could go. There's literally like 50 product ideas in that list on ChatGPT that if you dug in, you'd find it. Then you've got to go and say, well, okay, what's the price point on those things? Like, are they actually high ticket products? Do I want to sell them? When I did barriers and I looked at this, I mean, the first thing that came to my mind, I started just filtering through on this website here in Australia. This website, it's got a barriers and barricades collection on their site. And I started looking at it. I was like, oh, these products are not particularly high ticket. But then I thought about it, and I can find out water-filled barrier heavy duty. It's like one of these orange things. I'll put it on the old screen here so people who are watching the video can see it. It's this one here. You will have seen these along the side of the road, right? It's basically just a big piece of molded plastic. You fill it up with water and it gets real heavy. So they put these along the side of the road, and you'll have seen these. You'll have seen hundreds of these in a strip along the road in places, right, where there's road construction going on. And, $493, you wouldn't call that a high ticket product. That's the sort of product we would say, oh, well, that's kind of, no man's land, mid-ticket, whatever you want to call it. But nobody's buying one of these. That's the point, right? Nobody's buying one water-filled barricade. You're going to be buying more than one of these at a time. So on average, you're going to have generally high-ticket orders with this? Yes, you are, I think. And when I'm looking through a lot of these types of products, there's plenty of others. I can see that if you're selling to businesses, you're regularly, maybe not every time, but you're regularly going to sell multiple of these at the same time. And so I can see like these portable boom gates that they sometimes put on construction sites. They're $2,000 each. Fold down bollards for access control, $600 each. For parking control. I'm actually the deeper I dig into this and think about it, I can actually see that there is some good high ticket potential here. Swing gate.
It's mixing some avatars, right? So I started looking at the same things as you, and then that was more road construction-y, right? Then it kind of shifted to, I stumbled on crowdcontrolwarehouse.com. It shifted to more, do you need crowd control? They also have like inside crowd control. So inside and outside, they have barricades, but they have like the belt barriers and things like that. Then they also have like these plain, and I'm just walking you through like the rabbit holes my brain went down. They have like the plain concrete barriers that you've seen, right? When they section off a part of the road, they put all these concrete barriers. And to your point, John, thousands of them, right? So first off, How much do you think one of those costs? Just the one concrete barrier. It's about a length of a car probably, right?
I don't know, like a couple $100.
It's $500, but it's $1,000 shipping, which is like, think of all the people in our course who are like, I can't charge shipping. Think about charging $1,000, but they're going to buy a bunch of these, right? Then my brain just started spinning on my drive here, halfway here in Roberts, Wisconsin. There's this huge concrete place, and they make these, and a bunch of my buddies all work there that I grew up with, right? And it would probably be pretty easy for me to sell these and just go to them. Like, there's probably not brands, like real big brands in this space, right? These are all totally no-name things. There's probably not a lot of big brands in the space, so maybe you could become the brand. But like that, my brain went there, and like, can I contact them and say, hey, cool, if I take orders, what would you sell them to me for, and what quantity? It seems like it could be a little bit of work, but it could be a lot of fun. And then it like moved me down to, I might have to share my screen on this one. Let's see if I can share this one. These, when I used to work at a Walmart distribution center, there would be these barriers in front of dock doors. Occasionally, not all the time, but occasionally there would be these barriers. I would have never guessed they were, $2,500. And just a little like a nugget for you, John. When I click these, I don't go to US Netting. This 301 redirects to a completely new site. And so like, I just want to rant a little bit. We have a bunch of students who go through the process of like getting suspended by Google for some real fucking bullshit. That's some bullshit. You can't 301 redirect an ad and like, and these guys are just, oh, fuck you, Google. Sorry, I had to get that out of there. That's wild, man. And so please still love me, Big G. I love you. But like, it is wild that 301 redirects. But it brought me to like, barrier netting. There's all sorts of these netting things, these low dock safety bars, like, and of course I'm not sharing any of these tabs as it doesn't move. There we go. Some low dock safety bars. Found some netting on this US netting site, and just like all of this stuff should send you down a rabbit hole, right? Like each one of these things, as you saw, just what John and I do. This is what I do when I'm bored. And maybe that's what makes you and I a little bit different than the rest of the people, John. But like all of these things should spark an idea. Just Bill driving to Flagstaff sparked this idea, right? And so, yeah, I don't know. This one's an interesting one. I think I would have to spend a couple hours here to decide whether I really like this one or dislike this one, and who's the big players, and is there a single avatar you can hone in on, or is there going to be a couple?
Yeah. And just looking in my little list in ChatGPT here, like environmental controls, erosion control materials like silt fencing, erosion blankets, straw, wattles. I have no idea what any of that stuff is, but I'm willing to bet that you could find supplies for it and you could sell it. And I'm willing to bet that people would buy it in the quantities that if it's not already a high-ticket product, it would become a high-ticket product. Surveying equipment. Like I've said for a while that there's a whole bunch of engineering-related tools out there that I haven't seen anybody doing well at all. And that's definitely another good niche that if somebody's looking for one, go out and sell things like theodolites and laser rangefinders. And there's a whole bunch of stuff there for business. And they're super high ticket, some of them. Anyway.
I do think the barricades is the right answer. There's so many different types of barricades here, and rapid response barricades, and
so many.
Just don't buy barricadedirect.com or something like that.
No,
I'm into it. I think I'm going to give this a slight thumbs up because I would need to do a little more research on like the who, because I think there's a lot of who's here, and that doesn't scare me. Like I want to get in front of it, but also when they land on the page, if am I talking to a corporate person who needs this for their corporate offices? Am I talking to a engineer who's building a place? Am I talking to a road construction crew? Like those are very different words I'm going to use on that page. And so that's the only thing that pushes me away. And then, to your point, you do need to sell more than one. So hopefully you're not selling a lot of $200, $500, $400 products with $1,000 shipping and just selling one. That could be a nightmare. The other thing I think that stands out to me is like, you're going to be on the phone a lot here, like a lot. These are not going to just roll into your website. These are people who are going to have logistical things that they need taken care of, delivery times that they need you here by exit time. So you're going to be on the phone a lot here. And I think, it's not uncommon in our space, but, be prepared for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think don't let that put you off. I mean, I know dropshipping tends to attract the I want to run a business without doing anything crowd sometimes, but the reality is that's not the reality, right? That's not real. That doesn't exist. Okay, so if you want to do high ticket, you want to do it really well, you're going to be on the phone. Even in a not niche like this, like a retail focused niche, you're still, the people who are doing fantastically well are on the phone, right? Well, either them or they've hired people who are on the phone for them. Like, it's not like you've got to do it forever. So I don't think that's a barrier. I think that's gives you such an easy way to get in there and win doing that. Like,
absolutely.
Be prepared. Love it.
Thanks for listening to the Dropship Podcast. You can find all the show notes for this episode at dropshippodcast.com. And if you're ready to take the next step in your dropshipping journey, we invite you to join us inside Dropship Breakthru, where John and I will walk you through step by step in starting your own high-ticket dropshipping e-commerce business. But that's not all. Dropship Breakthru will also teach you everything you'll need to know to grow your business and take it to the next level. So head over to dropshipbreakthru.com and sign up for our free training that will help you take the first steps towards building and growing your own profitable high-ticket dropshipping business.